How do you feel?
So I feel, I don't know, it's like all of my imposter syndrome just like, hey, what are you doing? Stop embarrassing yourself. Like, you're not an expert, you're just uh, unemployed girl.
But we talk about our life, not about our work.
Yeah, yeah.
For this, you don't need to be employed.
Yes.
For this, you need to be alive.
Impostors podcast.
Hello, everyone. I'm Alex.
I'm Alea.
Yeah, nice to meet you on our first episode of Impostors podcast. This
Or Russians in
or,
Sweden podcast.
or Russians in Sweden, right? That was idea of Alia to record this podcast for our foreign friends, and how to say, I think to tell our story about how we lived in Russia and what we did, what we are planning for, and how we live in Sweden a bit. Our impressions, our emotions, our feelings. So that was an idea of my spouse, and I glad to support her.
Thank you very much. It's very kind of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, my idea was to do this podcast on two languages, on Russian and on English. Um, and I believe that first episode will be kind of the same for Russian and for English version because it's like a pilot episode with introductions, with me like first information about us, and yeah, Alex is my husband. We're in the very same apartment now, but in
But in the
different
different
rooms.
rooms.
Yes. And I warn you about our Russian accent. I believe you already heard it.
And I
Yeah.
believe that
And
it's not too strong Russian accent.
yeah, I hope so. That people can understand us.
Yeah.
Mm,
We
yeah,
try to mimic our pronunciation
yeah.
to native speaker as much as we can.
But not too much.
But not
Like
too much, of course.
to 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 be Russians also. So
Yeah.
everyone knows that we are Russian. Actually, I'm not Russian. I'm Tatarian. I know that it is confusing for everyone who doesn't know much about Russia. As far as I know, English doesn't have this. Like in Russian, we have two different words: "русский" and "россиянин." First one is nationality, and the second one is just citizenship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm a citizen of Russia, but my nationality is Tatarian. Yeah. And Sasha, Alex is pure Russian.
Pure Russian.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I have, as I like to say always, that I have 4% of Nordic countries 4% Spanish and 4% Italian blood. Yeah, I made a test. I wanted to check who I am and um, about my. I would like to know about my blood and how
Your
to say.
roots,
Yeah, my
like.
roots. Yes, absolutely roots. And surprise, surprise, surprise! I found that I'm 4%. No, not 4, 6% Nordic, 4% Spanish, and 4% Italian. South
Mhm.
Italy and South Spanish. So
And
that's
like you have other ones, other like majority of
yeah,
your blood is Slavic, or
yes.
there is some difference between Ukrainian and or just the area in Russia.
So it goes
How?
Mordvin, Mordova. So the
Mhm.
most, the majority of my blood contains that part of Volga river.
Mm. Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was interesting. But yeah, now we are in Sweden, and I am yeah a bit proud of that. I'm a little but part of this country.
Yeah. I didn't make this test, unfortunately. I would like to know also, like, just to compare with you at least. But okay,
Yeah.
not big
So,
deal.
so I think we need to tell a bit about the name of this podcast. Why it's imposters? Why have you
Uh,
chosen this?
because I think, um, like, I have this syndrome, imposter syndrome, and I think that lots of people from our generation has the same thing. It's not a like diagnosis or
Mm-hmm.
like medical thing. We don't have um, uh, such I don't know how to say diagnosis or
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
from doctor, but it's just a feeling when you have this imposter syndrome in you that you mm, not not good enough for
Mm-hmm.
doing podcast, doing your art, doing
Your
like
job.
you doing your job, speaking on other language.
Mm-hmm.
Mm, and like everybody will notice your mistakes in every part of your life, but like actually nobody cares.
Yeah, and you know the mistakes make us stronger and better, at least.
Mhm.
And the imposter syndrome is not isn't bad enough. You need to find a way how to live with this with this syndrome, as I did. Some someday I understood that this syndrome helps me to overcome some obstacles and achieve some mm, I don't know, achieve some goals that I put in my to-do list. And um, I like this syndrome. It tries me to read more, to try things that I was scared of,
Mhm.
uh, and it helps me to not to stay at the one like a one position or stay quiet and just live. You always
Mhm.
need to overcome your yourself, your ideal picture of yourself.
Mhm.
And yeah, I know that I I would never reach this point that I put on my on my head, but uh, the then longer and then higher I go, then more I would achieve. I guess this is
Mm-hmm.
my philosophy.
Um, it's good that you found the way to live with this syndrome. But I think I didn't found it yet. Haven't found it yet, and for me, it's not about learning something, but more about like I stop myself from doing something new.
Mhm.
Uh, for example, from this podcast, I thought about it about this exact podcast maybe for half of the year or
Wow,
more. Um,
I
like
didn't know
yeah,
that.
but mm, I think I told you several times about this, and
But it was like an idea, just to maybe
yeah,
that wasn't
yeah.
something like a that you can touch, or that wasn't idea. Just like why not? It sounds for me like why not?
Mhm.
Maybe someday I would.
Yeah, but for me, it was like, why do you sitting? Why don't you do anything like that? Especially like when I don't have a job, um, and there is this artificial intelligence that um, can do my job at some point. Mm, yeah, and I just sitting and thinking of I should be famous or I will die. I don't know in mm, how to say poorness or
Yeah,
mm, yeah,
without money.
without
Yeah,
money. Thank you.
you wouldn't have enough amount of money, and you would die uh, being poor, right?
Hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So we can start with our like I'm Aliyah.
Mhm.
I'm 30 years old. I'm a motion designer, but I don't work now. I'm studying Swedish.
And
Um,
sometimes you can make a mispronunciation and
yes,
miss words English and Swedish.
yeah, it's like it mixed in my head these two languages. We live in Sweden now for like a year and a half, something
Mhm.
like that.
Yeah,
Um,
almost 2 years.
on,
Yeah, almost 2 years because you know, I collect not so long ago. I collected all our documents for Migrationsverket. This is the special service that provides you a visa for next 2 years.
mm,
And now I am waiting the prolongation of our visas.
mhm, yeah. Um, so we live in Sweden. We live in Malmo. It's the city in the south of Sweden,
Mhm.
near Copenhagen, near uh, Danish. How to
Yeah,
say
this is the Danish.
Danish? Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. You can also say something about you.
Yeah. As I said, I am Alex. I am 33 years old and I'm software developer, uh, front end developer. I am creating interfaces in the web. So if you see buttons, lists, uh, graphics, probably I did that or not. Who knows? If it works well, I did that. If don't, I didn't do that.
Yeah. Mm, Also, we can say about our history of moving to
Mhm.
Sweden from Russia. And I believe everybody can um,
Can assume.
can assume why we moved from Russia.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Mm,
it's like I don't know. I think we told about this, but I would say that mm, we always had such dream to live abroad somewhere, not in Russia, because like you while you growing up, you have this
mhm.
propaganda everywhere, so that says that Russia is a very bad place for living, a
Yeah.
very corruption,
A lot of
a lot of
corruption.
corruption,
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of corruption, and see, Europe is just wonderful place for living.
Europe,
Everybody is
USA.
happy.
Yeah.
Europe or USA. I heard a lot of about Europe.
I've
Maybe
heard
you.
about a lot of about USA as well, like
Mhm,
USA and Canada. That's very nice cities and country. Of course, there are a lot of cities in that countries for living and achieve, dreams, goals. You might become popular, a lot of money,
mhm,
dollars. And yeah, as you said, Russia isn't worth to live here, especially uh, in a small towns
mhm,
like like Chelyabinsk. It was always on the top of my mind, like a dream or like a big goal.
mhm,
I I wouldn't live here. I I have to go abroad.
mhm,
Like someday it happened and I go. That's it.
mhm.
But uh, until 2022,
Oh,
uh,
it was 2022, two
yes,
years ago.
2 years ago, I like I said, I prepared myself uh, to for relocation, like learning English. That's the uh, first thing that I had to do. The second thing is find a find a company that would relocate you,
Mhm,
you and your family. And after, and it was in a passive mode, like someday I I would find the right company that would relocate me, and that's it.
mhm,
But after 2022, I realized that we have to we had we have to rush,
mhm.
and
Yeah.
I increased my attempts to the count of my attempts to find a job abroad. Before that, I hadn't been abroad, just traveled a bit inside Russia.
Yeah. Also, when you live in kind of small city, that's
Hmm.
not true because it's a million population city,
Yeah, over
uh,
than million.
over than million population city. It's Alex's Alex's home city,
Yeah.
Chelyabinsk. I wasn't born there, but in the like even smaller city. um,
But you relocated
yeah,
to Chelyabinsk when you
yeah.
was 14 years old or 12?
I think 20, or not 20, 12.
12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Like when you live there, you're dreaming of going abroad, and the only way to do that is to move first to Moscow or Saint Petersburg, because uh, you can um, have enough experience from working on like good companies, and um, you can earn a lot of money only there, not
Hmm.
in Chelyabinsk or somewhere else. I don't want to say that it's like true for everyone. It's
Hmm.
just my thoughts back then, and I I believe that a lot of people um, uh, will be um, disappointed in my thoughts. um, yeah, but it's just my opinion.
I
Yeah,
agree with this opinion because in Russia we have a phrase Moscow isn't Russia.
yeah,
You know, even St. Petersburg doesn't have this amount of salaries that in
yeah.
that we have in Moscow. And to be honest, I was scared of relocation to Moscow because for me that that was a city with like a uber talented people inside and imposter syndrome. You are not good enough to move to Moscow.
Mm-hmm.
You're kind of good enough for moving St. Petersburg, but uh, thing things happened and we moved in 2019 uh, in Moscow, January.
Yeah.
I remember it as it was yesterday. That was my first great and like not a great big relocation from my hometown to other town where or city where you need to start from zero, like from the scratch. You need
Mm-hmm.
to rent house or apartment. You find other job. For me, it's always stressful thing uh, to quit from job and find another one. But I don't regret for this, and I super happy that we moved in Moscow that time. Uh, I think we met at a better time in Moscow, like
Mm-hmm.
innovations, companies, level of freedom as well.
Mm-hmm.
But after 2022, everything changed
Yeah.
extremely, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we moved to Moscow and lived there for 4 years, I think, almost 4 years.
Hmm.
And then war started, and we decided to move somewhere else. And this country was Sweden. And for me, it was super stressful in terms of language, because uh, I think I had a super bad education, like English education in my school. In university, it was better, but I was not interested in this subject. So I've started to learn English, mm, mm, like after war started, I think, or
or
a little bit
few months.
earlier. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's my progress so far.
I
Yeah.
think for me, you did great job, and now you can easily speak in English and in Swedish with stranger strangers. That's that sounds impressive. And when I see how you speak in Swedish, I, you know, I lost my mind every time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we've started to prepare to move from Russia, and it took how half of a year.
Yeah, around
Yeah,
9 months, I guess. So
9 months.
the war started in February, like 15th of November. There was a first step, our step in Sweden airport.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and we lived for 2 months in Turkey also for
yeah,
because we was waiting for our
permissions,
visas. Yeah, permissions. Yeah.
permit cards. You know,
Yeah.
that
Hmm.
was a summer time when we sent our documents, and this
Hmm.
summertime is a, I would say, special time in Sweden, where
Yeah.
when everyone catches the sun as much as they as he can or she can,
Hmm.
uh, because the the most time of in Sweden cloudy, rainy, and you have to consume D3 vitamin too much
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah. And also in Sweden, there is this month of vacation
Hmm.
um, for a lot of people, lots of people.
Yeah,
It will be July now,
July. Hmm.
July. Like, for example, in my school and in school, we have in Swedish it's called semester, so it's a vacation uh, for a month. And I know that lots of companies also this have this thing for example, even banks like
Yeah.
governmental banks, they rest in this period.
Hmm. They close
Hmm.
uh, their branches, and
Hmm.
just when you want to, I don't know, have a consultation from that bank, you have to find a specific particular branch that opens opened in this time.
Hmm.
Otherwise, you have to wait a month or a bit
Yeah.
longer, because and this is the reason why we were waiting our visas too long, I guess.
Hmm.
Like that was a summertime, and no one cares about your permissions, visas.
Yeah.
They catch sun.
Yeah. Nobody cares about like mobilization in Russia.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's our problem.
Do you want to tell about this, your first experience to move abroad from Russia? How,
I
how
would
did you feel?
I would postpone my story about my long trip and quite expensive trip from Russia to Turkey.
Mhm.
But I would say that in the middle of my travel, I was thinking about why I am doing this, and maybe I can go back.
Mhm.
But the imposter syndrome, and that voice in my head said, no, you have to continue your journey. And the first
Yeah.
day in Turkey, I was crying. Yeah, but the more details listen in the next episode. Yeah,
Okay.
we put some hook for our listeners.
Okay. Mm, so yeah, we moved to Stockholm first. We lived there for 6 months,
It,
and after that, we moved to Malmö.
Mhm.
Um, we at first we really liked this city because it's cleaner, it is warmer,
Quieter.
um,
Yeah,
whiter. Yeah, and Copenhagen is nearby, like half of hour,
by
and
train.
you're by train, and you're there. Um, yeah, like last summer, my impressions of last summer was really good.
Mhm.
Like I was super happy, um, but like now I like my classmates told me, okay, uh, I thought last summer was super rainy and cold, and I just what?
What?
Maybe it's impression from like moving from Stockholm to Malmo, and
Yes.
it's a big difference in the weather. So I thought it was super warm here.
Yeah, the first time when we came to Malmö was our vacation time,
Yeah.
and we had to move back to Stockholm, and literally we moved from sun to cloud. We found this uh, transition from
Hmm.
cleaner sky to rain.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
Hmm. Yeah, and also in Malmo we moved from one flat to another one because of
Mhm.
like our mm, tenant or
Yes.
tenant are we? We are tenants.
Mm, no, we are rents. I
Okay,
think tenant, this is the right word.
landlord,
Landlord,
landlord.
yeah. Let's say it
Our
landlord.
yeah, our after 6 months of living in one flat, um, like we was said that our landlord is missing. Nobody
Vanished.
knows vanished. Yeah, nobody knows where is he, and uh,
He didn't
uh,
pay for rent
yeah,
for
he
six
didn't.
months.
Yeah, like we paid him, but
Yes.
he didn't pay to
Commune. Yeah,
commune.
come on.
Yeah, and yeah, they decided to, I don't know what to do with this flat. Maybe sell it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we moved to another one, another apartment. Ah, lots of moving.
Yeah, lots of
I was
moving.
super tired of this, yeah, activities, and we moved to like almost empty, unfurnished
Yes.
flat because we had a bed uh, very nice, big, etc. Good one. And we have our two tables,
Two desks.
work,
Yeah.
two desks. Yeah. Um, so we moved to unfurnished flat, and we haven't furnished it yet. Like
Even
we don't.
curtains.
Yeah, even curtains, but curtains is not so common here in Sweden.
Yeah.
So we have curtains only in our bedroom.
Yeah, but I want to have curtains in this room where I'm sitting right now
Mhm,
because when sun is here,
mhm,
yeah, I'm getting blind
mhm,
because of almost white walls and make sun brighter, and yeah,
mhm,
you cannot do to look at your monitor properly.
mhm. Yeah. So yeah,
So we
that's
can.
our history.
That's our short history for right
Mhm.
now for this pilot episode, and
Yeah.
I think you will subscribe on our podcast, family
Yeah.
podcast.
Please subscribe.
Yeah, please subscribe. It's very important for us to improve our
Yeah.
English, at
To
least, you know.
improve. Yeah.
And if
Sorry
you want,
for our mistakes. If we like, I definitely I know that we had
of
mistakes
course,
in
you
our.
know, we said we are Russians. We
Yeah.
can make mistakes and help us to improve our English and sound and help us to sound like a native speaker.
Mm, not a native speaker, but at least without mistakes.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
and yeah, I'm planning to do podcast not only with this Alex, but also with people who I'm study with, um, and tell more stories about Russia or our experience as immigrants here in Sweden, about Sweden maybe, but yeah, that's my plan. Thank you for listening.
Thank you
And
for listening.
yeah, I really hope that you enjoyed this podcast with us. Our very first one. Like, so Alex has his own podcast on Russian.
Yeah,
So if you're Russian, you can listen to his podcast also. Yeah.
but I would tell about it later.
Okay, everything is later,
Yeah,
as you
just
wish.
you can type body match in YouTube search field, and you'll find the first episode of my podcast, video podcast, with my friend too.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye. До свидания.